ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the producer of the Walt Disney Studios cinematic masterpiece, The Lion King, Don Hahn.
Legendary producer Don Hahn. Welcome, you are beautiful this morning. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting in line. It's been a busy weekend, but have you been having fun? It's crowded at my hotel. I had to share a room with 2 stormtroopers and a Wookiee. Wasn't all that bad, actually. So listen, we're here to talk about this really special movie. 23 years ago, we had this movie, called The Lion King. And it was a long journey getting this movie to the screen, and that's what we want to talk about today. You know, it's ended up being the highest grossing hand-drawn animated film of all time. And yes, who knew? Because we had trouble getting people to work on it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And we actually did draw it with a pencil, the old-fashioned way, which was kind of fun. We'll talk about that too. So we're going to dive right in. I want to bring out right away one of the directors of The Lion King. Please welcome to the Lion King stage the fantastic Rob Minkoff. See each other in a while, so this is good for us to kind of catch up and reminisce. So I mentioned it a little bit, but we couldn't get people to work on this with you.
That is true. The reason was because when we were making Lion King, it was the first time in the history of the Walt Disney Studio that 2 movies were going to be made at the same time. Lion King and Pocahontas.
Yeah.
And so we had a big breakfast meeting to talk about the 2 movies, and the head of the studio got up and basically said, Pocahontas is a home run. It's West Side Story meets Romeo and Juliet meets Dances with Wolves. And Lion King, on the other hand, is kind of an experiment.
Yeah, our pitch was Moses meets Joseph and Hamlet in Africa with music by Elton John.
Everybody loved that?
No, I know, everybody said good luck with that.
But so he said, well, you know, we're not sure about Lion King. We're not sure if it's going to be a success. And so if the movie makes $50 million, I'll get down on my hands and knees. And let me tell you, he did.
He did. The first week it made like $100 million, and we forced him to get down on his knees, actually. Fantastic. Now, how did you get into this movie? Because you have done other things, and you know, since Lion King, you've directed one of my favorite movies, Stuart Little. Before that, yes, Stuart Little fan. But before this, how did you get into Lion King? What was your first kind of entree?
So, you know, I've been working in the studio for a long time. I started in 1983. And worked as an animator, character designer. I've done some writing. I sort of climbed the ladder and was kind of right at that level where I was going to get that opportunity. I directed 2 Roger Rabbit's shorts. And then I remember seeing a documentary on television called Lions and Hyenas, The Eternal Enemies by Beverly and Derek Joubert.
Yeah.
And it was just so incredibly powerful. I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, if The Lion King could be half that strong, it would just be an incredible thing. And so when I got the call from Tom Schumacher, also one of the producers, he said, Rob, I'd like you to come in and start working on a movie that's called King of the Jungle.
Right.
It wasn't even called Lion King, it was called King of the Jungle.
And we all called it kind of Bambi in Africa, because that was like the early short version of it that people could understand.
Exactly.
And then the crew went to Africa. Did you go to Africa?
I actually went to Africa on my honeymoon, but I did not go to Africa on that very
Let's
first
look at a clip of that now. No, I'm just
No, I did go on that very first trip, actually. I missed that trip. Sometimes, you know, they would say it was a kind of a cursed situation. Sometimes if you went on that trip, they'd fire you off the project, which
yeah, it's true, it's true. Let's talk about your co-director, Roger Allers, who also wrote the stage play, the Julie Taymor stage play for The Lion King. And how is it collaborating with him, and talk about that kind of approach to directing with two directors?
Sure. Well, you know, Roger and I hadn't really worked together before, but we knew each other a little bit from working at the studio. And one of the things we would do is get together at lunches when they would have impromptu musical moments. I remember Frank Thomas, one of the great animators, one of the 9 old men, would come in and play the piano even after he was retired. And Roger and I would always show up and we'd sing. And we would sing along together, we'd sing all these great old standards. So we found out that we really had that in common. So working with Roger was a terrific thing because we really ended up complementing each other very well. And one of the things that we do when we make an animated movie is we will do all the dialogue before it's called scratch. And so we get usually people from the studio to do the scratch dialogue. And so I did Timon and Roger did Pumbaa.
Really successfully. I think people would be surprised at how much you guys had to perform and sell the work, because part of getting Lion King up on its feet, it had really humble beginnings, and you guys would sit there with a pointer and some story sketches. In fact, I have a little clip of that we can show right now of how you have to go through and actually tell the story. In this case, it's a little clip of you guys pitching Simba seeing your reflection.
Sees a pool of water below, his reflection. Besides, that's not my father, it's just my reflection. No. Looks in, and suddenly a breeze blows over the water, and his reflection changes before his eyes into his father's.
You see, he lives in you. You see, he lives in you.
That's great. And all of a sudden, he hears his father's voice coming to him.
Simba.
Does he know it's his father right away, or does he just see this apparition kind of appear on the grasslands? As soon as he hears his father's voice, right, the sound is his father. He's been brought so close to this memory, kind of materialized at the top of the blowing grass there.
Radioactive clouds. Actually, a negative shape starts to form between the clouds to form the shape of the fossil. And as it comes forward,
Right, as it comes forward, the grass disappears into sort of a dark void.
Simba, you're forgotten.
Wow. You can really see the effects of 23 years in gravity on the animator. We got to work with some great people, Tim Rice, who originally brought in ABBA.
Of course, well, yeah, exactly.
Those great African-American composers, ABBA. But then had a terrific idea to bring in Elton John. So how was it working with Elton John?
Well, you know, Elton John, obviously, I mean, Elton's one of the most incredible songwriters, performers, singers, you know, of our generation. And so it was really a thrill. But, you know, we didn't spend a lot of time with Elton. Elton was usually on the road traveling on tour, and so we would usually get songs on tape, a demo that he would perform in his hotel room, wherever he was, you know, on electric piano. And we'd get it, and we would, you know, go from there. And one of those moments was getting a version of the song Circle of Life, which was an early version, which was totally different than the one we ended up with, which went, and we'll all join in the circle of life. And we thought, that's terrible.
It's really good. And please, don't tell Elton that.
No, so what do you do? What do you say? You can't tell Elton John. It's terrible. So Tim's job was to be kind of with us, a partner. And so Tim would go back to Elton and say, you know what? They've decided to change the story. They need a new song. And so the song they need is an anthem. It's about the animals coming to pay tribute to the newborn lion. It needs to be, you know, big, rock anthem. And then he delivered the Circle of Life. And we were like, yeah, that is a good song.
Yes. Sometimes you have to just coax these people into the right place. One of the things an animation director does is you work with your actors, and in this case, your actors are animators.
Yes.
How is that relationship? Like, how do you coach and work with an animator on a movie like this?
Well, I think that's one of the big questions people ask me, because I've done live action, I've done animation, and so they say, what's the difference, and what does an animation director do? Because live action is so easy to image, because we've seen it before. We see a guy with a megaphone and he screams action and cut, right? And he's got the whole cast there, they have, you know, the cameras and the lights and everything. But an animation director works with all of the artists individually, including the voice actors, but with the animators, who are really actors with pencils. It's really true. They think like actors, they act like actors, they're extremely temperamental.
Oh man, are they? Yeah.
So you have to be, you have to really treat them the right way. You have to get the most out of them. You have to make them your partner in order for them to deliver, a great performance.
Yeah, exactly. We are really lucky to have two of those temperamental animators with us today, actually. It's a terrible setup for them, actually. These guys are all-stars, and they're often behind the scenes, and we're going to drag them out in front of all of you today because these are movie stars in my mind. So please welcome to the Lion King stage. Here's Mark Henn and Tony Bancroft. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. This is everybody.
Mark's a temperamental one.
He is.
I am.
I'm going to start with Mark because I just always do. Mark is Simba in this movie. Is sitting right here in front of us, but that's not. I know.
Good looking.
It's scary. Mark, you're a ladies' man. I don't mean in your personal life. I mean in your professional life because Mark is also Belle in Beauty and the Beast and Jasmine, and you animate these beautiful, you draw so well these beautiful girls, and we would always give the leading ladies and princesses to Mark. This is different. How did you do this movie in this role? Why did you choose this?
Well, I think basically because it was different. It was, as you said, we were thinking, Bambi in Africa, which was, just kind of a nice way to think about it. But just the opportunity, I was excited to finally put the princess aside for a change and actually look to do something different. And what it really attracted me was Scar. I was actually very, very interested in doing Scar and kind of campaigned with you guys about, I had this whole idea of kind of a Rex Reed, kind of a Scar, really big and beefy, and I just wanted to do something different, get out of my princess box, I guess.
It turned out okay, I think.
It did, and I had some very, very good counsel from this gentleman over here who basically told me, look, Simba's the key to this movie. If Simba doesn't work, the movie doesn't work, and we need you on Simba. And I'm like, how do you say no to that? So, thank you.
I just have to say about Mark, and you probably have known Mark forever, he's done everything, but Mark was really one of the greatest of the new generation of animators. Frank Thomas, I think, was his sort of inspiration, and Frank was really known as the great actor, animator, and Mark really has been for so many years that when I first met Mark and saw his work, I was just blown away by it and have been for so many years. And the fact that he's been able to maintain it for so long is incredible. So anyway, Mark.
So true, and this may be stating the obvious, but this gentleman, Tony, is Pumbaa. I don't know why that is. But Pumbaa, now how did you get into Lion King? How did you get into animation and Lion King, and what was your beginnings on this movie?
I got into animation years before because I just was fascinated with drawing characters. I was my brother, we used to draw all the time together, draw each other, not each other, other things, girls at times we went to compete. But we loved to draw, and what I found about Lion King was that, as these guys told us before, it was a defining moment in Disney history where there was a split of the unit, and some of the guys were going on to Pocahontas, which was kind of the A film, and everybody was excited about that. So all the senior guys, except for Mark and Andreas Deja, just a couple guys that stayed on Lion King, but all the senior guys were going on to Pocahontas. And it was opened up an opportunity for young guys like myself. I remember actually submitting to Rob and Roger a VHS tape when they had those of some of my scenes because these guys didn't know the younger generation as well. So we actually had to submit a reel just to get chosen to do the characters. And I wanted Zazu at first because I had just done Iago and Aladdin. I said, well, it's a bird. That's a bird. I can do birds.
Well, now you can do warthogs.
Now I'm warthogs in my repertoire.
You're skying yourself.
That's right. Yeah.
You're smashing out.
Anyways, yes.
Some of the challenges of production were not about the movie. If you guys remember, there was a huge earthquake in Southern California, in Northridge, during 1994. During the making of this movie, we had to shut the movie down, shut the studio down, because the boards had knocked over, the desks were over, and we just wanted to make sure the studio was safe. That was nutty, because we were commuting on trains and sending artwork back and forth. What was that like for you guys?
Wow, well, it was just a crazy time. I mean, there was not only an earthquake, there were fires, brush fires, there was light. It was just
the locusts and
it was biblical. Everything was just going crazy.
I always tell my family these films are like watching a yearbook in motion, because you can go back to those things. And I remember the scenes that I worked on during the Rodney King riots or the earthquake and things like that. And actually, Mike Surrey did Timon. We shared an office on the film. And after the earthquake, he came into the office early before I got there. And he wrecked the office and turned chairs upside down and stuff like that. And I kind of walked in, like, outside here looks fine, but look what happened to our office. It was like pencils standing up like this.
Well, then the other thing, you know, in terms of the earthquake, I was in town because I was working at the Florida studio at the time. If people remember that we had the satellite studio in Florida. So the entire Simba unit was essentially based in Florida. But I was here and I flew home that Sunday night, and just a few hours later the earthquake hit. So I just missed it.
So it was you?
It was.
Sorry. Only you would have stayed.
Somebody told me and I got out of town and heard.
I was in Atlanta because we showed Elton John the movie for one of the first times in Atlanta with Roger Allers, and I flew to Atlanta. We brought the lights down. Elton comes in and sits in the back row, so there's a full audience. They had no idea Elton John was sitting in the back row. We showed the whole movie, and at that time we had Can You Feel the Love Tonight, the beautiful love ballad in the show, sung completely by Pumbaa and Timon.
Yeah, well, I know it sounds crazy, but what happened was we got the song, and we were kind of racking our brains. We're like, doesn't this seem just too obvious? Doing a love song like a love song, we should do something different. So we got Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella to come together and actually do the whole song. But then when we showed it to Elton, he literally, when the lights came up, he was like, "What have you done? Destroyed my song." He goes, "This is the reason I did the movie. I've always wanted to write a great Disney love ballad, and you just destroyed it." So we were terrified. We kind of went home with our tails between our legs and we were like, "I think we have to fix this."
Yeah, he was right for it.
Yeah, and then we did get a more traditional, version of it, but we did still use the Timon and Pumbaa at the beginning and the end, which we may never have done. That's right. We experimented.
Some things work out. I mean, so much of this movie had humble beginnings, and for me, that night we showed the movie to Elton, I went home, the Northridge earthquake. So it's like, once again, biblical. One of the great songs, Pumbaa and Timon, and Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella is Hakuna Matata, and I have a little clip of Rob and Roger pitching Hakuna Matata in a story meeting, which is really a kick, and I want to share that with you guys right now. Let's take a look at that clip. I wanted to bring on our next guest. We haven't talked about voices, and part of what you guys do is take great inspiration from the voice actors. With us today is the voice of Pumbaa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ernie Sabella.
All the rest they on
Now, Ernie, you're a very shy guy, and we are so glad to
With
have
my
you
own personal animator, Don Bancroft.
here on stage with you.
I'm thinking
That's the voice that inspired the drawings, though. I mean, how could you not fall in love with that voice and create this wonderful character, Pumbaa?
And when we met in New York, we went to like a little Mexican restaurant,
Yeah.
and I mentioned Termite Terrace. And you were thrilled that I even knew about Termite Terrace and what an animator was. So I was thrilled that I'm sitting next to you.
And I got the worst guest that night, I think, too, which was a great inspiration.
Look at the time. So half the audience is Googling Termite Terrace right now. Listen, what's interesting though is you didn't come in and audition for Pumbaa, did you?
No, we auditioned for the Heighties. Nathan Lane and I went into the Heighties. We were doing Guys and Dolls on Broadway at night. And we went in and I think Watson House was there, and we were in this little booth that they concocted, and we're ad-libbing as well. And when we got done, there was silence in the room, and I said to Nathan, well, at least we have a job at night. We left, and we didn't here for 2 months, and then it was like, okay, we're Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, that worked out okay.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know how to bring this up as a delicate subject, but there was, as part of your role, I don't know how you prepared for this, but there was flashbacks involved.
Yeah. Oh, Mexican food. That came from an early morning session where Nathan was not really awake yet. He was like, we had done 5 shows in a row on Broadway, and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I wanted to pick up his spirits. So he would say a line, and I go, and then he'd start tearing. He'd say, don't do that. No, I'm sorry. Well, after like 15 minutes, he could not see the page. He was like, that's so funny! So we woke up. I didn't know it was going to be in the movie. You did that.
Sorry. We wanted to. That is the real thing. And speaking of the real thing, let's take a look at that clip of Pumbaa expressing himself.
I heard that my friends never stood down the wind.
Let me tell you this. We did a lot of press. I had just done theater. I didn't really do a movie in my life. Now I'm in The Lion King. I'm doing a lot of press. And Nathan's right next to me. So I kept saying, yes, Pumbaa is the first Disney character to have gas. And, it was one of those, what? And so, I don't know what time it was, but I said to somebody, a big room, and I said, yes, Pumbaa is the first Disney character to have gas. And Nathan leaned over, took the mic and said, actually, it was Snow White, we don't talk about it.
Oh, boy. Totally lost control here. It's so funny. I wanted you guys to see you and Nathan working together because we always recorded you together because there was so much energy between the two of you, which was something I think for Rob and Roger was really
Thank you guys for letting us do that. That's right. And we were the only two that worked together. They said up until that time, Disney history. So we really fed off each other. Because at night, during Guys and Dolls, we were doing that too. So, and we knew each other for 20 years.
Well, let's go back a few years and take a look at what was that like in the booth with you guys working. Just a little clip.
When I was a young big cat, when he was a young big cat. Very good. I worked in the colony, paying my dues, accepting without questions of the daily news that a big cat's life was one long grind. Digging holes, standing guard till it crossed my mind. I was wrong, and
came up with.
That's a song in the movie.
That was
Where
we recorded it.
This is another Lion King.
Yeah, we thought it was like big plus something. So there's a clip of it. There's a clip of why we didn't only we just introduced the song. The song was taken away from us. And it was Elton John who said, "I don't want a stinky old fat warthog singing my song."
Yeah, that was pretty persuasive.
Get away with words, that guy.
Yeah. Rob, and this is for Rob at 22, what do you see in these guys in terms of their voices and how they fit with those characters? And what do you try to pull out? Do you actually try to put their personalities in the characters, their expressions? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's why I saw Nathan and Ernie. I think I tried to convince the company to send me to New York with Mike Surrey, who did Timon, and we actually went for a weekend. Saw all these guys and dolls. You guys let us go backstage.
And you showed us the original drawing of Pumbaa, which was a mean guy.
He was a little ferocious at the time. And you actually softened me up. I mean, I went back to your apartment, I remember, and we took pictures of you. I won't say what he was wearing. Those pictures, and I got all these expressions. And if you see some of these clips of me, you'll see expressions of Ernie. And I really try to incorporate that. I really loved, when you smiled, the pinchy little eyes, all that stuff is from Ernie.
So there's a kind of an important step in the process, because at the beginning we don't know who the actors are going to be, and we don't really know exactly who the characters are. So we start to explore, we do all these experiments and drawings and different ideas, and then you kind of focus in on the ones that you like, and then it really goes through a kind of a finishing process once you have the actor and the animator, because they're going to marry the two together. They're really going to bring the actor's personality and traits and expressions into the look and the design of the character. So it really doesn't get finished until all the elements are together.
I know a lot of what you suggested, Rob, is to have these guys improv. Because when you get Ernie with Nathan, you want to just get whatever comes out on tape. And one of the best lines in the movie was an improv line. I think when Simba's trying to get a distraction when they go back to Pride Rock at the end of the movie, they're trying to distract the hyenas so they can see. And Nathan came out with, "What do you want me to do, dress a dragon and do the hula?" And we just were on the floor in the booth.
Yeah.
And immediately said, "We can never use that in the movie." So we had to do a lot of selling.
Yes, we did. We did a lot of selling. So on that particular bit, we come up with the idea of using the Hawaiian War Chant, which is a song that existed already. And in Lion King, we used a lot of songs that were, that Elton didn't write. We used "It's a Small World." We used "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts." We used "The Lion Sleeps Tonight."
Right.
And so we were using these.
We move it.
Hey, you didn't know that song what?
No.
I said, "What's that?"
We move it.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
So we had to do a lot of selling, including to some of our executives, and say, "Well, we've got this funny gag," but instead of just telling them about it, well, I said to Rob, "Why don't we perform it?"
Well, exactly. So the night before the pitch that we had to do, we ran around the studio. Well, maybe we should just reenact it.
Yeah.
Actually, if anybody backstage, we need a Sparkletts water bottle and a ukulele.
Wow.
They actually have it backstage. Can you imagine?
I get thirsty doing these things.
This is like Disney magic.
It is. So no joke, this is exactly what we did.
So we showed up in the morning. It was a 7:30 a.m. pitch. We did the scene, and then we got to the part where they said, "What do you got to create a diversion." And then Timon says, "What do you want me to do? Dress a dragon, do the hula?" Lula! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat and juicy meat, eat my buddy Lula here because he is a treat. Come on down, dine on this tasty swine. All you gotta do is get in line. Are you aching for some bacon? He's a big pig. You could be a big pig too.
out and on the movie, these guys just went away into their office and came up with that song. It was awesome. The animators all heard it the next day, and I don't know if the sparkling bottle was still around at that time.
It was.
Yeah, it fit the place. Famous sparkling.
Well, let's see how the trained professionals actually did it. Here's the clip from the movie, and now you know it's humble beginnings.
What do you want me to do? Dress and drag and do the hula? Wow! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat, juicy meat, ain't my money over here because the industry coming down the line. Oh, this crazy swine, all you have to do is get in line. Ah, you ate it.
Yup, yup.
Oh, some bacon.
Yup, yup.
He's a big pig.
Yup, yup.
You can make a big pig too.
Saw it here first. You can never unsee something like that. Listen, another star of the show in terms of our voice talent were the hyenas, Whoopi and Cheech and Jim Cummings, who played a character named Ed, which we'll talk about in a second. And Jim Cummings is actually with us today. Welcome into the Washington State.
Oh my gosh, there I am. First, before we get started, I have to thank you because I've done a lot of Disney characters, and you, Roger, Alex, were the kindest of all because you finally said, let's just draw Ed to look just like him. Thank you. I know, it's freaky.
How uncomfortable. What was really kind of odd and interesting about this character was you had lines, yes, but they weren't necessarily words all the time.
Well, that's true. And, however, though, Ed is coming out with books on tape. It was the best of it. So yeah, but well, I remember how we did that. It was Roger was sitting there, and we were like, oh, wait, we have to do. He's got to do something. I was like a little running gag, I guess. Here, pull my finger. Let's get in. I remember the script for it was, anger, lust, betrayal, hunger. This, and then he was running institutions. Recalcitrance. But it had to be a laugh, so we did that, and I had a legal pad. Everybody else got a really cool script, I got a legal pad. And I sat there and probably Touretted for about a couple hours. And, okay, that's good, thank you, bye. And so...
and where did the name Henn come from?
Well, actually, that's a good question. We have these two characters, Shenzi and Bonsai. And we're like, what's that third one? The laugh one, what's he going to be called? And we thought, for some of you know this reference, but there was a show called The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And the guy sitting on the, to his right was Ed McMahon. So we were like, it was the laugh.
Yeah. So we just needed something to laugh at the jokes all the time, and that's what Jim did.
No, I don't think we ever told him that. Oh.
He knows now. Listen, we have brought along actually one of the more sensitive recording sessions. And so we're going to just bring the drink down a little bit and go to that recording session now. So please, with respect, let's take a look. have another 2 hours of that, so if you go back to the rooms on Channel 7, you'll see more of Jim doing that. You played, there's actually another character in this movie. You did the voice for...
That's right. I was the underground. I reported from the underground.
Yes, the underground.
I had a very important job.
Yes, which was played by a strange little animal, a naked mole rat, the first mole rat in Disney history.
God, I remember proposing. Yeah.
Yeah, we had extensive life drawing classes with you for that. This is kind of embarrassing, but and I brought that along. So here's Jim Cummings in his second appearance in Lion King as the naked mole rat from the African underground.
Yes! Sir, news from the underground.
Yes!
Almost.
Yeah, that was good. Now, I have heard, Jim, that you do many other voices for Disney, and I was just wondering if that's true, if you could perhaps tell us what that is.
Oh, I got one. Have you guys have TVs?
I am the terror, the flats in the night. The throws that catch at your nightmares. I am Darkwing Duck.
And then I was fortunate enough to be, well, drawn once again by this gentleman. And all I needed was a smack of a funny. And it was quite lovely. But then there was too much bouncing, so I had to get on out of there. Anyway, you know how that goes. Wait a ticket. They left too. There's a trend developing here. Just crazy enough to work. So yeah. See movies. I know that women, they do like a man with big back. I'm just gonna take it right up. There you go. So yeah, okay.
It's actually a squeaky voice.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh man. Well, listen, it has been a pleasure to be here. I have to say also that Cheech and Whoopi couldn't be here today, and they wanted to send their best because they are such a big part of this movie. Whoopi just got her Disney Legends Award. And she wanted to be here with me today, but sends her heart and her love to all of you because this is such a big movie.
Come on.
Wow, welcome. And congratulations, you're a Disney legend.
Thank you. This is you guys' fault for putting me in Lion King, but I'm really glad. I like the statue.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah. And let's hear the story about how you got into Lion King. How did you did we call you? What happened?
No, I begged. I heard it. I actually did. I heard they were making this, and I said, "Well, can I be in it?" And they were like, "What?" I was like, "I'd like to be in it. I mean, it's Africa, So they said, "Well, let's find out." And then they waited a little while, and then I found out that you guys said yes. So I was thrilled.
Yeah, we kind of couldn't believe it because the story came to Rob that.
Sure, well, we were sitting it was literally after lunch one day, we're working on the movie, and the head of animation walks into the room and goes, "Guys, we need to talk about something. Whoopi Goldberg wants to be in your movie." We're like, "How does that happen?" It's a miracle. What happened? She goes, "She had lunch with Elton John." And she now wants to be in the movie, so you got to figure out something. You got to put her in the movie, and so we're like, "Wow, what could she be?" And we thought, because originally when we did our board, it was going to be Cheech. We had a concept, Cheech and Chong, and we couldn't get Chong and Cheech to work together. They were like, "We're not working together." Could it be Cheech and Whoopi? Sounds good.
Yes. And we, you thought you were the only two, but Cheech and I worked exclusively together because we couldn't do it separately. We needed each other. We tried to find air, but we never could. So they let us play, and that's how we got to do everything we did. It was so loud. We had a good time. Oh yeah, chemistry's everything. Now, you know, we worked together on Broadway, too.
Did you?
Yes.
What?
Do tell.
A funny thing happened on the way to the forum.
Oh,
Whoopi took over for Nathan, but what really got me was the growth from day one to like the second week, the third week.
I learned to sing is basically what I'm saying. We were a freight train. We were like, we were on there for a year. And she grabbed onto that, and before you knew it, she was the engine. Yeah. And then I got to play with these guys again. So it was really, it's very family oriented.
It is.
Yeah.
And we did you sing on this movie too. Actually, you have a little clip here, which you probably haven't seen of you from a couple years ago singing on this movie. So we had a camera, a hidden camera in the recording booth. And this is extremely high quality footage of you honestly singing 23 years ago. Here, let's take a look.
For the death of the king.
No, fool, we're gonna kill him. Simba, too.
Idiots, there will be a king. I will be king. Stick with me, and you'll never go hungry again.
So you're 2 years older, and we're all 23 years older.
It's really like turning around to the word. All the rings back here like a tree. No, but thanks for this job. I mean, it was really it was a great experience and lots of fun. And, you know, one of the few times that we get to go to a different country and see all the beauty and the pageantry.
Yep.
And so I just want to say thanks because, you know, it took a very long time for the next group to come along. So appreciate you again.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Listen, I know this setup reminds all of you of The View. So I wanted to get down and just ask a mushy question. Jim, we can start with you. Just after all this time, what does it mean, this character, this movie, the themes of it, what does this mean to you?
Gosh, for me, it's like being invited to be, would you like to be written into Gone with the Wind? Yes. Yes, I would, and thank you. All of you.
Yeah, well, you know, this was, as we've talked about, this was kind of the little film that could, and to see the miracle of The Lion King as it happened. We had no idea. We had no idea that it was done. But I think we just put our heart and souls in it under the direction of Rob and Roger and Don, and we just had a ball. We just had a great time.
Rob, what's it like?
Well, you know, I think for me, what's most important is it's really a father and son story. And my son is here in the audience. He's not yet 5 years old. And he hasn't seen the movie yet. So he's only seen Hakuna Matata, and I just can't wait to be king and sing them all the time at home. But obviously, that's going to be a very important moment, so I just want to. That's so strong.
The little kid who was put on the couch by his mother around 7 o'clock at night to watch The Wonderful World of Disney. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I wanted to be in there. I wanted to be friends with Tinkerbell, and I wanted to live in that world. And I can't believe I actually got to live in this world and be part of Disney family. So it's something that will live on way past me and like Snow White forever. So thank you.
I
hated it. I got stomach virus on this film. I threw up for 8 straight weeks. No, I got this cool crew jacket though. No, I mean, for me, being here at D23 is an awesome thing, and be with this group that I haven't seen in so many years, and to be a part of history. And so many of you have said this, and I know I speak for all of us, come up and said, you guys created my childhood. And to hear that as a creator and know that we gave something to you when really it was just something we just love to do. We just were hanging out, having fun. But that it affected all of you so much means something to us.
Whoopi, anything to add to that? Thank you. Okay.
Oh, actually, you know what? Yes, I would like your jacket. We would like to.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony will now give his jacket. I'll be giving my trousers to Ernie after the show. Listen, and for me, working with these people, I'm the luckiest guy on the planet, and the other lesson of this movie is humble beginnings. So what started with King of the Jungle and A Spark of Bottle and a Ukulele has ended up being this phenomenon, which is still unbelievable to me, and I think not only you guys, but all of you in the audience that have made it that way.